Ancient myths describe giant serpents so huge, some swallow grown men whole. Today, one titanic snake brings the legends to life. A lethal alpha predator with powerful constricting muscles. A forked tongue for tracking prey in stereo. And curved teeth designed to hook flesh and never let go. Meet one of the planet's reptile carnivores, the python. Some species of python stretch over 6 meters and weigh over 100 kilograms. The world record holder, a species known as a reticulated python, measured over 9.5 meters. Yet stories persist of even larger beasts. In Indonesia, in 2003, news of a record-breaking mega snake makes startling headlines. Locals claim to have captured a reticulated python, measuring 15 meters, weighing over 450 kilograms. When put under a measuring tape, the big reptile, named Fragrant Flower, actually clocks in at less than half its reported size. Still massive, yet it leaves many wondering, can a 15-meter python ever truly roam the earth? The answer may lie in a living trail of evidence. Python's predatory skill and unlimited growth, combined with increased prey and a warming climate, offers clues to their future size potential. Florida, the Everglades, here, in the warm, wet habitat of the United States' largest subtropical wilderness, lives one of the planet's most massive snakes, Burmese pythons. They're native to Asia. In the Everglades, they're invasive, and they're multiplying. It's estimated up to 150,000 invasive Burmese pythons are already thriving here, breeding and hunting native species, growing bigger with each meal.
It's really a great environment. It's almost the perfect situation for a big snake to grow. They have plenty of prey, and they're being very successful with the absence of predators. You may actually see them getting to sizes larger than is common for a Burmese python today.
Biologist Joe Wazalewski is on the front lines of the battle to halt their spread. His mission? As a licensed python hunter, he tracks, captures, and removes them, recording critical data on their location and size. Today, with the help of Johnny Tigertail, a member of the local Miccosukee Indian tribe and a park wildlife expert, Joe's heading out to search known Burmese python hideouts. Joe's largest catches have stretched over 3.5 meters. Yet at these sizes, pythons can weigh over 45 kilograms. Carries deadly risks.
When you see a wild python out in the Everglades, you better bring your A game, because that snake is going to bite. Snake is going to bite for any body part it could reach, and the bigger the python, the higher they can get in biting you, and the more powerful they are, and the worse the bite could be.
Joe and Johnny scour clusters of hammocks. These hammocks were once safe havens for native species. Havens have python hunting ground.
On a day, me to see one up in the trees.
That's where they've been spotted at,
Okay.
just hanging right off the edge on these limbs.
I've been eating a lot of birds, and I'll bet the birds nest in there too.
Birds in there, definitely.
The fear is they could get into a colony and just wipe them out. And actually, I think I see some high ground over there, yeah?
That's right.
In there, I don't know, there's a couple of trails. They look interesting.
Take a look at
On the hunt for hidden pythons, Joe enters the water, risking an alligator snapping jaws or a python strike.
Something just went in here.
The further in he wades, the harder it is to get out in a hurry.
Right here. Could have been a snake. Well, I definitely heard something.
The vegetation's too thick to push further. As noon approaches, Joe knows the odds of finding a python are slim. During peak sun, they often take refuge out of sight.
Well, I'm going to go further south. I'm going to run some roads and do a few other things, but let's keep in touch.
Okay.
Just as pythons haunt the Everglades hammocks and waterways, they can also take to its canals and roads.
We're in an area that's it's a little over 20 miles south of Miami, and it's sort of where the Everglades meets the urban area. Wait a minute. I just saw something on that road that I don't see now. A lot of pythons have been seen in this area, and I know for a fact a lot of them have been caught crossing this road.
This search technique is called road cruising. While driving, Joe scours the road for signs of python movement.
The Everglades consists of, give or take, about 1.5 million acres. And each and every one of those acres could house a python or a number of them. Pythons, like many other reptiles, they camouflage very well. You could be standing literally next to a python and not see it.
Joe pulls over and scans the roadside.
What's that over there? No. Sometimes these just look so good. And sometimes you just think you see pythons all over the place. Nope. There's one. Okay. And it's faster than you think. Ah. I've got to get it out in the open. All right. We got him. Almost. Now. Whew. Come on. There we go. I got him. Wow. I need a breath. Hold on a minute. I'm all excited. It's not every day you catch about an 8-9 foot python on the road. So they have 4 rows of teeth on the top, 2 on the bottom. The teeth are curved inward, and if he were to get a hold of you, let me tell you, it would hurt. It got a little piece of my jeans. It didn't get my leg, I don't think, this time. So I'm lucky. And believe me, those little teeth are razor sharp, and they're going to cut right into your flesh right quick. It is not fun to be bitten by one of these snakes. That's how you do it. Okay, we got him now. Now it's time to secure it in the bag, which is also easier said than done. This is the best, most humane way to transport reptiles. They could breathe in and out with no problem. It's dark, so it's less stressful for snakes to be in these sacks. So, one python down.
Joe logs the location of the catch and estimates the python's size, roughly 3 meters. Driving on, he continues his hunt for an even larger one. To many, the spread of these super predators is disturbing. To others, it's a wake-up call. Burmese pythons didn't slither here on their own. Some experts say these exotic invasives were once captive house pets.
Burmese pythons became really popular probably in the 90s because there was these genetic mutations. There was albinos, and then now they're green in color, and some of them don't have pattern, and people like to breed them for all of these different color morphs.
For some overwhelmed pet owners, what starts as a tiny juvenile soon becomes too much snake to handle.
People are releasing these pythons. It's not only because of size, it's because of something changed in their life, where the python was a novelty and was a good pet at one point, now it's not. Well, pet shops don't want them, the zoos don't want them. It's not fair for the snake or the environment, or the people.
Although it's almost certain released pets have contributed to the python problem, another theory suggests the invasion may have begun with just a few escapees. In late August 1992, Hurricane Andrew blasted across South Florida. Category 5 winds destroyed several animal breeding centers. Countless exotic species escaped, including Burmese pythons. Once turned loose, they quickly turn feral and head out on the hunt for food. Most stalk the Everglades, feasting on wild species, but some may be living near residential areas, close enough to hunt the suburbs' most vulnerable prey.
They have been known to take domestic animals, dogs, cats, chickens, those sort of animals, so there's a more readily available prey for them in those areas.
It's rare, but sometimes pythons also take humans. In July 2009, in Oxford, Florida, one tragic attack reveals even a pet python's powerful instinct to feed. Inside this modest suburban home, as a 2-year-old child sleeps, the family's Burmese python escapes from its cage. The 2.5-meter snake slithers into the baby's crib, wrapping its body around her. It suffocates the young girl to death.
Okay, and what's the problem? Tell me exactly what happened.
Our snake, we have a Burmese python, and she's about 12 foot long. She got out of the cage last night and got into the baby's crib and strangled her to death.
The horrific incident sparks a flurry of publicity and an urgent call to action from politicians and concerned citizens. Authorities are working to control the pet python problem and eradicate them from the wild. Yet as these foreign predators grow and colonize, megasnakes may be here to stay.
They are survivors, and everything they need to know for survival is programmed right into their brain from the second that egg hatches. Survival is programmed from day one.
In a single breeding season, a female Burmese python can lay up to 100 eggs. In just a year, hatchlings can explode to more than 4 times their birth size. By the time they reach around 2 meters, these voracious carnivores are eating machines. They hunt almost any animal with a pulse, from endangered birds to reptiles to mammals as large as deer.
They will just eat anything and everything in sight. They can eat and eat and eat and just fill themselves up.
They're known as opportunistic feeders. They don't always know when their next meal is coming. Whenever they have that opportunity to eat, they will.
It's another clue to their future size potential. The more they eat, the bigger they get. An expert hunting skill helps them feed and grow to even greater sizes. Pythons are ambush predators. Their most productive hunting technique is to sit and wait. Hidden by camouflage, when prey nears, they strike without warning. The strategy relies on stealth, surprise, and a trio of detection traits, starting with skin and muscles that work like seismographs.
They sense vibrations, and a potential prey animal walking down this path will wake this thing up instantly, and when that animal comes close enough to that snake, they lash out and strike so fast with such a force. You could film it all day long, but you have to roll that back in slow motion to catch the actual feet of the snake grabbing it.
And to hone their hunt even further, a python has 2 lethal tools built into its head. First, facial nerve centers, called pit organs, register heat waves. By detecting thermal hotspots, a python can zero in on warm-blooded prey. And its second weapon offers even more acute, fatal radar. Each flick of a forked tongue picks up airborne scent particles. Inside their mouths, a sensor known as the Jacobson's organ samples the air, directing the snake to where the particles are strongest. Once pythons find their target, they use their jaws and teeth in a terrifying strike.
They have over 100 teeth in their mouth. They'll use those teeth just to hold the animal.
Pinning their meal with rows of razor-sharp teeth, pythons go in for a deadly embrace.
And then they'll use their body, their coils, to wrap around the animal. They'll constrict their body tighter and tighter, cut off the air supply for the animal, asphyxiate them. Essentially going to stop circulation as well. And then after the prey is subdued, they're going to swallow it whole.
The odds of a python attacking a human are slim. People often pose more of a threat to pythons than pythons do to people. But when a massive python does attack, there may be no escaping its lethal grasp. Once their target is dead, pythons are designed to devour.
One of the remarkable adaptations about pythons is their hinged jaw, which makes it possible for them to swallow large food items. Snakes don't chew their food, they have to swallow their prey whole.
Their upper and lower jaws connect by elastic ligaments, allowing their mouths to open 180 degrees. Bones in their lower jaws actually separate, and a ratcheting action draws the prey down in one long swallow.
So this python can swallow something literally 3 times the diameter of its body. Then once most of the animal's body is inside, it uses this muscle to contract it and push it right to its stomach, where all the action takes place in terms of digestion.
When they feed, pythons leave behind no trace of their kill. They can ingest 100% or more of their body mass, digesting everything but hair and feathers, growing larger with every meal. Back on the abandoned roads at the edge of Everglades National Park, Joe is on the hunt for invasive Burmese pythons. He knows when the sun goes down, his chances of a capture go up.
Snakes in general move at dusk, normally. Usually in the summer months, they move more frequently and more readily. So dusk is the time, their activity period, I guess you could say. And if they're going, in this case, east to west, they're going to cross this road. The road keeps the heat, and the snakes find that they like that warmth, and they really soak it up.
As he cruises, Joe keeps his eyes peeled. He can only guess what size beast he'll find in his headlights.
Oh yeah, baby, we're gonna see him.
Most creatures, including humans, eventually stop growing. But pythons can keep growing as long as they live.
There are several species that don't seem to have a maximum size. And if the individual of that species is lucky enough to live long enough, they just continue to grow until they die.
It's a phenomenon known as indeterminate growth, and it's another clue to python size potential. In the wild, they can live up to 25 years, growing every year. In captivity, they can live over 30 years and potentially grow even longer. The captive python program at the Columbus Zoo in Columbus, Ohio, offers a laboratory for giant snake size potential. Here, one contender for world's longest python is about to be examined and exercised. Meet Fluffy, a captive reticulated python.
We have a number of python species here at the zoo, but Fluffy by far is our largest species. She's quite impressive and in fact may hold the world record.
Born in 1992, a private breeder fed Fluffy rabbits, goats, and pigs. Fueled by massive weekly meals, her growth skyrocketed. By the time she was 10, she was as long as a truck and as thick as a telephone pole.
Her length of record at the time she came to us was 24 feet. She's about as long as 3 basketball players standing on each other's shoulders.
When Fluffy first came to the zoo in 2007, she was officially the world's longest captive python and weighed roughly 136 kilos. Zookeepers feared she was too heavy. Now, to maintain proper weight, Fluffy's fed a carefully monitored diet.
We feed Fluffy about every 21 days. The thing we need to watch out for is besides putting that food into growth, they also put it into fat. We need to be careful that they don't get overweight and out of condition.
Because they're opportunistic feeders, they will eat whenever given the opportunity. If you keep feeding a snake with slow growth rate, you're just going to end up with a fat snake.
To stay healthy, pythons like Fluffy also require optimum humidity and temperature.
In a captive situation, it's important to give them a gradient anywhere from the high 70s into the 90s. One of the ways that snakes regulate their metabolism is by moving into hotter or colder areas. For instance, if they had a food prey they wanted to digest, they'll seek out a place where they're optimum temperature so that they can get that done.
When it comes time to feed powerful constrictors like pythons, zoo staff is always cautious. One way they stay safe is by working with pythons' natural intelligence.
Pythons are very intelligent animals. They do recognize individual keepers. They know and will respond differently to different keepers. We do have feeding cues that we do for different purposes when we're working with Fluffy. If we're going to be cleaning her exhibit, changing her water, her pool, that sort of thing, we try to do those mainly in the morning. She's used to those activities occurring at a certain time of day. And then, in the afternoon is generally when we try to feed her.
Yet even with a python's intelligence, there's always the potential for a surprise strike.
We are very aware of the fact that she's not a pet, she's not a domestic animal, she's still a wild animal. So we always have a great amount of respect when we're dealing with her. We have to be very deliberate and slow in our movements and our motions with her.
Failing to take proper precautions can be deadly. In 1997, at Serpent Safari in Gurnee, Illinois, reptile zoo owner Lou Dodano enters a 7-meter-long python's cage. Trying to replace a light bulb, it nearly cost him his life. The large predator strikes, clamping onto his leg and coiling around his torso. The crushing pressure stops Lou's heart. Just in time, his colleague and an emergency medical team pull Lou free and resuscitate him. And here at the Columbus Zoo, the team faces the same risks handling Fluffy.
We have a minimum of two keepers that work with her at any given time. We also have, just for safety purposes, a standby team of 3 whenever we're working with that animal, which we do on a daily basis. But if we're going to be doing an exercise session or an enrichment session with her, we'll have a minimum of about 8 people it takes us to get hands-on with her.
In addition to a carefully monitored feeding schedule, Fluffy's taken out for exercise.
Because her meals are regular, she's not as motivated to move. The reason why we take her out and exercise her periodically is because we're concerned that she's just not getting enough exercise.
Fluffy's immense size makes moving her difficult. Her strength makes it risky. Beneath her scaly skin, powerful muscles run the length of her entire body.
As you're holding her, you can feel all of those muscles in her body. Those muscles push against us as we're holding her, and you can feel her muscles move from one side of her body to the other as she's trying to do that serpentine motion. Her muscles are very strong and can easily move us about while we're carrying her.
Here, the team weighs and measures her.
What was it like? 99.4 kilograms. 99.4.
Almost 100 kilograms. Next, using twine and a tape measure, the team tries to gauge her length.
When we measure these guys, it's very difficult to get a very accurate measurement without anesthetizing the snake because they have such strong muscles and they're in constant motion. She's not just gonna sit there still for us. She was measured today 20 feet 1 inches long.
Before letting her loose, Dr. Barry gives Fluffy her annual physical exam.
Most of the time, hopefully, a health check is just a visit to give a once-over to the animal and just make sure that we're not seeing any signs of disease, that the eyes are normal. Just sort of feel down the animal to see if we can detect anything, any abnormal bumps, the quality of the skin, etc.
Good shape.
Finally, the team releases Fluffy in the zoo's elephant enclosure.
It's a large space, she can move around. It also provides an opportunity for enrichment. There's novel smells. Obviously, you can imagine an elephant smell is not something she's exposed to every day, so it gives her something to explore. The more exercise we can get her, the better. It's good for her, it's good for her heart, just like it's good for our heart to get out and exercise.
At just 18 years old, Fluffy stretches over 6 meters. In captivity, she can continue growing for 10 or more years and ultimately shatter the record for python size. For now, zoo staff can only guess how big she can get. While increased availability of prey, superior hunting skill, and indeterminate growth help pythons feed and grow larger, a truly essential key to their size potential is a hospitable habitat, and it starts with temperature. For snakes, temperature and size are inextricably linked. Cold-blooded animals, known as ectotherms, depend on external heat to hunt, feed, and stay alive.
More mammals will have the ability to endothermically thermoregulate. They can control their body temperature. Snakes can't do that, so they have to regulate their temperature based on their environment.
It's a simple equation, but it may offer a clue to python's future dimensions. For ideal growth, a python's environment must stay consistently warm. If a snake's body temperature falls too low, it can kill them. Burmese pythons also thrive in an aquatic environment. While smaller pythons are good climbers and often prefer the cover of trees, for large pythons, water offers a fast lane to their next meal.
Just think of an animal that weighs 200 pounds without arms and legs. To get around is a tough business. So a lot of big pythons like to be around water. You know, it makes them more buoyant. It makes them get from point A to point B with less energy and quicker.
Pythons can stay submerged for 30 minutes and travel over 9 kilometers. And with ample space and no natural predators, when they reach adult sizes, they're free to move, feed, and grow. Some Burmese pythons have even been known to target the Everglades' reigning alpha reptile, the this back it in Burmese size.
spot at the time. Snake was there.
Scientists
Time it's look
radically changes
1100. Are
the Everglades.
Gainesville. Okay. Once there.
Tall
For them to do.
growing.
Snout vent. Total.
Snake.
Even large.
superior